everybody, it's Shelby from Staying Books, and it is time for another Top 5 Wednesday. If you are unfamiliar with Top 5 Wednesday, I will leave a link to the Goodreads group down below that is run by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. Every week on Wednesday there will be a topic and you will pick your top 5. So for this week, the topic is favorite villains. Now, this isn't a topic that I ever really think much about. I'm definitely somebody that's always on the side of the heroes and the heroine. But I gave this one a lot of thought and really decided I could come up with quite easily my top 5 villains of all time that, like, the villains that stuck in my head for different reasons. So my first two are kind of a mix of TV and film as well as books, even though in both cases I have never actually read any of the books. And the first has to be absolutely one of my all-time favorite villains, and really my choice to have been the hero because he was freaking awesome. And that is Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I have never read any of the additional content that was produced as books or graphic novels or anything, but I absolutely loved the show. I've seen the entirety of it, and as much as everybody was on the Angel train, no. I was always all about Spike. He is the best, devilish, like, bad boy that every girl thinks that they can save and make good. And Buffy tries, and yet he's still, like, he's redeemable and he saves it, but he's still never 100% truly good. Like, that's just not Spike. He is a bad boy through and through. He is devilishly evil in the best possible way. I absolutely love him. Number 4, I am going with my favorite all-time villains from Doctor Who, which is my favorite show ever on television, and that is the Weeping Angels. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this particular villain from Doctor Who, I have just picked up this book solely because it is a Doctor Who story set with the Weeping Angels. And the Weeping Angels are statues, right? Like, you've seen them, you go to any church, they're the beautiful angel statues that are covering their faces. Yeah, well, the only problem is they are evil and will kill you. Except they don't just kill you, they send you back in time. And the thing is, the whole point is you can't blink, because as long as you are staring at them, as long as you can see them, they can't move. They're stone. But the minute you blink, the minute you look away, they are faster than you could ever imagine, and they are out to get you because they live off of the unused time of your life force, basically. So they touch you and they send you back in time to some random point in history where you were left and stuck to live out the rest of your days, while they live off all of the energy that's created by where you have been ripped out of space and time, essentially. They are creepy as hell. The best visual you've ever watched on television for a creepy bad guy, like, because you can just imagine it. It's these statues, and you see them everywhere, and you never know, is that statue a Weeping Angel, or is it a real statue? Is it going to get you, or is it, like, totally safe? So the key thing is, don't blink. So next up, one of my favorite all-time bad guys. I have not read his book yet, and I have it right here, and that is Sherilyn Kenyon's Styx. Now, in this particular series, this is her Dark Hunter series, Styx is the villain through the first, like, 20-plus books. He is the head of the Daemons and is out to kill most of the Dark Hunters and overturn the world, but you feel so bad for him. I mean, he's only angry and wanting to kill people because essentially the father of his people was a prick. So the heritage of the Daemons is really, they are the children of Apollo. And Apollo created the Acolytes to rival Zeus's man. Except every so often he would go back to the Queen of the Acolytes and have sex with her to continue his line throughout people. And then he didn't really care about it. So he went off, took a mistress, had a child with that mistress, and didn't think anything of it. Well, the Queen of the Acolytes got pissed off, and so she sent her soldiers to go and take out this mistress, kill her and her child, because she was pissed, she was jealous. Apollo then decides to be a prick and curses every single acolyte ever to be born to never walk again in his presence and to only be able to exist off of each other's blood, thus creating a race of vampires that can no longer walk in the sun because they can't walk in his realm and they can only subsist off of each other. But the worst part of his curse, he curses them to all die at the age that his mistress was killed at the age of 26. And the only way for an Acolyte to survive past that point is to drain the blood and eventually the soul of another human being and take that soul on to elongate their own life, creating the evil daemons. So you feel for Styx. The man's not a bad man. He was a great general and leader of his people and chose not to die at 26, but in doing so he has to kill other people. So he's very angry and wants to take out a lot of people that have cursed him, and he hates the Dark Hunters because they're out to kill his people, and he's fighting for his people to live. I can't fault him for that. But he has no compulsion about just wiping out people and killing them, and he's definitely a little nasty and evil. So I'm a couple books behind. I fell off on reading Sherilyn Kenyon's Dark Hunter series. So I am actually rereading this series because I want to get to this point because I really want to know Styx's story and what happens with him. Because he has been that awesomely ultimate evil bad guy who you don't want him to beat your characters, but you don't want him to die either because you want him to be redeemed. And there is redeemable possibilities because he should not be in the situation he's in. His dad, God, was a prick and decided that he didn't care about all of the other people, not just the woman who killed his mistress and child, but, you know, all of his people should die for that, essentially. Not very nice, Apollo. Number one, it was kind of a toss-up for me how I was going to go about this one, because both of these bad guys are bad guys. Like, they're ultimate baddies. They are, no redemption. I do not expect them to come to the good side, like, you know, two of my others here. These are bad guys. But they were such good bad guys. And they're two of my favorite old-time series in fantasy. So when I was thinking about bad guys and who did I really enjoy, I enjoyed these ones because they are so evil. And they're really, really out to destroy the world. So first up, I'm going to go with Rimmer Dahl and the Shadowin from Terry Brooks' Heritage of Shannara series. This is books 3 and book 4, where they do start to become a little bit more prevalent of you know more about what's going on. But Rimmer Dahl, as a character, he is the leader of the Shadowin. He is trying to basically take out the world and turn it into his image. And the Shadowin are like all of the fears and dark parts of humanity and the world. And he is trying to convert two of our heroes to his side and get them to become Shadowin, essentially. But he's so reasonable, and he's so convincing in the way he talks. When he captures Cole and talks to him, it's such a mind game, and you can see why Cole is confused and doesn't know what to think, and you want him to stand strong, but you're like, dude, he's so evil and dark and wrong, but he presents it in such a way that you're like, I get it, dude. I get why you're wrapped up in this and you're not sure what is right and what to think because he's presented a reasonable argument. And you could completely understand how he thinks that he's right and that maybe you were on the wrong side. So very much about the like inner workings of humanity and man and kind of our own evils that live inside of us. But Rimmer Dahl is like the perfect evil that you know is evil, but is really about to convince you that maybe he's not. Versus the lovely evil that is the big bad in the Mage Winds trilogy. I loathed this guy. Like, there is nothing redeeming about him. He is the ultimate evil, but he is so scary because he is so powerful. Morlith Falconsbane is the ancient evil of ancient evils. Like, he has managed to take his own consciousness and hide it away in magic for generations, and has the ability to manipulate people and change them and give them different characteristics and basically genetic modifications through magic, and he is dark and controls people through violence and pain and wants to have everyone bowing down to him and is trying to control the world. And there is no questioning he is evil. And everybody knows he's evil. And the whole point is to destroy him. The biggest point of this whole story is he's taken over this body of a young man. And he's invaded the brain and has invaded and taken over this body. And the way he triggered everything was based on them being his descendants. And so this boy has no control, but he's still living in the back of his brain. So he knows all of the evil and all of these things that this mage has used his body to perpetrate on others. So he's been present for these tortures and this experimentation and using magic to do all of these horrible, horrible things. And he has no control and he can't do anything. And so you want him to be saved and to destroy this evil mage, but the only way to do that may be to kill the poor kid whose body he took over. And it's just like, Morleth Falconsbane, you want to die. He is evil, evil, evil. He is the best kind of perfect bad guy that you want to hate. And has done so much damage to so many people. And wants to take over the world and thinks he should run everything because he's all-powerful in magic. And he has centuries worth of experience. So he knows more about magic. He knows more about what people have forgotten with magic. So he's really dangerous. And you're cheering for our heroes to take this guy out and to save everybody because he's been such a bad guy. So I like it. He's the villain you love to hate. And I like that in my villains. I like my clear-cut bad guys and my clear-cut heroes because I want to cheer for my heroes and I want to hate my bad guys. Because then I'm allowed to hate them. And I want them to die. And they can be taken out. And I don't have to feel bad that they got taken out. They were evil. And he is definitely evil. He is the epitome of evil and pain and destruction and all the things you want to go wrong. So, number one bad guy, Morleth Falconsbane. He is awful, awful, awful. Hope you enjoyed this Top 5 Wednesday. Let me know what you thought, or there's some villains that I haven't thought of that maybe I should check into looking at, and you think are just evil. And do you like your villains to be... I mean, my list is a mix. It's some that I absolutely loathe the villain for loathing the villain, and that would be Rimmer Dahl and Morleth Falconsbane, versus, you know, just creepy villain with the Weeping Angels that way too real, like, so could be the creepiest thing ever that could just, walking down the street, I could run into that villain. And then, you know, my villains that I love to hate because I want them to be redeemed. They're the ultimate bad boys. I mean, Spike and Styx, like, I love, you were a villain, you were bad, you want to control and destroy the world, and, but is it really that horrible? Or could the love of a good woman save you? So what's your favorite type of villain? Give this video a like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks. Bye.